Well, this street sign maybe gives you a wee bit of a clue to where I am this week. I'm standing at Tannadice Street, but I'm not at Tannadice Stadium. In fact, I'm standing outside Dens Park, home of Dundee Football Club. But just in case you didn't realise, just 170 yards down Tannadice Street is Tannadice Stadium, home of Dundee's city rivals. Welcome thrice, welcome to the year 1893, for this is the year that I intend to leave Dundee. So said the famous poet William McGonagall in a New Year's resolution poem. Now, I don't know if he left Dundee that year, but if he did, he'd probably regret it, because that was the same year that Dundee Football Club were formed. Now, I've travelled 82.3 miles from Celtic Park to be here at Dens Park, home of Dundee, one of the two clubs who have just made it back into the Premiership for this season. Now, the stadium here has a capacity of just under 12,000, and obviously the stadium will be packed when the champions come calling. Now, Dundee Football Club were formed out of an amalgamation of two local clubs, Our Boys and East End, and they played their first game in August 1893. It was at West Craigie Park and it was against Rangers. Now, by the end of their debut season in the Scottish League, Dundee had moved to a new ground at Carolina Port, and it was an opportunity for hundreds of fans to see Dundee playing for nothing, because there was a smoking slag heap from the gasworks right next to the ground. It was called the Burning Mountain, and it was there that fans would gather on a match day and look into the ground and see Dundee playing. Now, in 1899, Dundee Football Club moved here to Dens Park, and their first game was against St Bernard's in August of that year. Now, just 12 months before then, the club had almost gone into liquidation. It had run up a series of debts due in no small part to poor attendances. I suspect that was caused by a lot of the supporters gathering on Burning Mountain to watch the team rather than paying the gate money and coming in to cheer the team on. But from that day onwards, this has been home to Dundee Football Club. A right riveting read as always. Now, Dundee is home to the Beano and Dandy comics, which those of you of a certain vintage will remember from your childhood. And the first editions of those comics rolled off the presses in December 1937, making them the world's third oldest comics. Now, sadly, such is the technology of the 21st century, that they're only available online now. But the world's oldest weekly club magazine, the Celtic View, is still available as a physical product every week. Now, the main stand here at Dens Park looks rather strange. It's almost as if there's two parts of the stand joined together. It has a strange shape. But Celtic here over the years have enjoyed some pretty impressive victories. Our biggest win at Dens Park came back in January 1971 when we won 8-1. Now, on that day, Jimmy Johnson, Harry Hood and Willie Wallace all scored doubles. Tommy Callaghan also scored, and Dundee were generous enough just to chip in with an own goal. But that's not our biggest victory against Dundee. The historians among you will remember that our biggest ever victory as a club came back in October 1895. That was at Celtic Park when Celtic won 11-0 against Dundee. I don't know who the scorers were that day, but that would have been a pretty impressive goal-scoring performance from the team wearing green and white stripes in those days. Now, most of you won't realise that the very first wireless radio broadcast was made here in the city of Dundee back in 1832 by James Bowman Lindsay. Now, that sounds like a good excuse for a song. And losing everything
not again.
Is like the sun going. Does it really sound that bad? I thought fans quite liked my singing. Now, we've come inside and we're in the boardroom here at Dens Park, and I'm delighted to be joined by John Nelms, who is the Managing Director of Dundee Football Club. And John, you know, you've got promoted to the Premiership, and it must be great looking forward to, as First Division champions, playing host to the Premiership champions in Celtic.
Absolutely, I think the entire city of Dundee is looking forward to that. It's a game that we've always preparing for, and having the champions here, Celtic being here, being a worldwide entity as they are, it's great for all of the game to get all the eyes on Scottish football.
Now obviously Celtic fans will have a particular interest in Dundee, given that Paul Hartley, who's a former Celtic player, did very well for Celtic. Has started off his managerial career, he's been successful wherever he's been, and that includes Dundee getting promotion, and obviously he started life in the Premiership, and Dundee have very, very impressively.
Well, Paul's done a fantastic job. You know, Paul is a modern day manager. He uses all the technology. He prepares the team as well as a team can be prepared. And he has been as successful as you possibly can be as a new manager. He has won in all 3 of the seasons, or 4 of the seasons that has been a manager. This year is going to be a little bit more challenging, but you know, I think if anybody's up to the task, it's going to be Paul.
And you join us at Dens Park today. The action's almost underway. It's the big clash of the day. It's the one that we've all been looking forward to. It's Celtic TV commentator Paul Cuddihy versus the Dundee Cake. And there's the action underway. It's Cuddihy on the attack already. His hand reaches for the cake. He shapes to eat. And that is absolutely wonderful. A Dundee cake, so called. Keller's Marmalade Company in the city are credited with giving it its iconic name. And remember folks, a Dundee cake is only really a Dundee cake if it's made in Dundee by Dundee bakers, just like this one. Marvellous. And there's a few crumbs in the napkin. They think it's all over. It is now. Imagine the scene. It's 5 minutes before kick-off. This is the away dressing room at Dens Park. The Celtic players all sitting round here, nervous, excited, just desperate to get out on that pitch and start the game. They know the starting 11, they know the guys who are going to be starting this game, looking for 3 points for Celtic. They're waiting for the chap on the door from the referee to tell them it's time to go. Here's the chap on the door, and the captain leads the way out the away dressing room. There's maybe a few chants, a few shouts of, come on, let's get into this game. The visiting dressing room is left behind. The captain leads the Celtic players down. They can hear the roar, the chants from both sets of supporters, a sense of anticipation before another 90 minutes of Premiership action. Both teams will just meet here just prior to going out on the pitch. There's no tunnel here at Dens Park. You just walk out. The entrance is at the corner flag just beside where the Celtic supporters are. They'll come out through this door, and just as both sets of supporters see the players from both their respective teams, cheers will go up, and there's a set of stairs through which the players will just run down and out onto the pitch, ready for action. Jock Stein famously said, Celtic strips don't shrink to fit inferior players, but you have to say that replica kits certainly expand to fit overweight, middle-aged, very poor players. I tell you, that jog to the touchline's absolutely exhausted me. Now the Celtic players have a very strict diet because of course they are professional athletes. I'm a five-a-side player, and here's what we have before a game. Now we've obviously enjoyed having a look around Dens Park, but we couldn't visit Dundee without coming here to the west end of the city and to Clark's Bakers. It's been established since 1950 in Dundee. It's open 24 hours a day, and I'm delighted to be joined by Alec Clark, the owner. And not only am I delighted to be joined with you, I'm delighted to be joined by some of your famous breakfast pies, Alec. And I know it's just one of a number of different products that you produce.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
What was the thinking behind the breakfast pie, first of all?
I think it's just that so many people just want it at breakfast, but they didn't want a plate full of bacon and eggs.
So it's practical,
and so
well,
we just
tasty.
practical, just put it in a pie and they can go and have their breakfast in a pie. It's just one of the many varieties that we make. It's just, it's really tasty.
And obviously, you know, part of a football fan's experience is they go to the game, they'll have the traditional pie and a bovril, but you know, not only do you do the normal steak pies, you do Scotch pies, breakfast pies, but you're constantly making different ones.
Yeah, constantly, like chicken tandoori pies, bolognese pies, chicken ham, chicken curry pies. Anything at all that can go in a pie shell, we'll make. We've got rhubarb pies, sweet pies, apple pies. You know, the range is limitless.
Now, I don't know if you're watching this, you must be impressed by my professionalism, because all the time we've been talking here, there's been a tray of breakfast pies, and I've managed to resist the temptation to have a bite of one. But with your permission, Ali, I'm going to just...
You can have one, yeah.
And I've had my eye on this one because it's got a big chunk of black pudding. The pie has sausage, egg, bacon and black pudding, everything you'd want in a breakfast.
And sometimes Lorne sausage as well.
Sometimes Lorne sausage, but I'm going to have one of these freshly made breakfast pies, and this has to be the highlight of my visit to Dundee. Now that is very tasty.